Hi, Patrice here. I gotta stop doing videos in the car because the sunlight is all like weird, but sometimes it's the easiest thing to do. So, um, oh, okay. So I know what I wanted to talk about. There's a thing that happens to everybody actually. However, your parents treated you growing up, you you'll end up mimicking a lot of what they did if you're not mindful about that. And so with my kind of upbringing, there's a term for like having like different behaviors and all that the parent had or has, and it's called, so the concept is called fleas, right? Having fleas from your parent. And so you think in terms of, if you're around a dog who is infested with fleas, then you may get a few fleas on you. And it's not an infestation, but it's still some fleas nonetheless. So I look at myself at times and I see my mother in some of the ways, well, I want to say in the behavior, but it's not the behavior because I don't act on it. And so here's an example. See how the picture looks better now. But like when I turn, the sun is gonna be there, and all that. So anyway, what happened a few days ago, I was in the kitchen cooking. I got up fairly early and was in the kitchen all that morning and afternoon cooking. And I wanted to do, like, I did a sweet potato pie and just making all this stuff. And I have to do everything from scratch. So my pie crust, I had done that the night before. So all I needed to do was roll out the dough. So I was doing all that. And I realized after a while that the baby was downstairs with me in the kitchen, and he was, for the most part, watching some show that somebody put on for him at some point, because I don't even know how to work that particular television. But they turned on something for him, and so he was watching it for the most part. And then he, at some point, at different points, would come and interrupt me and like get in the way or mess up something. And after a while, I realized that more and more, even as he was just watching TV and not in the way at all, I started to get angry. And I stopped, because now when I start to feel anything, I start to like process it now, as opposed to just shrugging it off and ignoring it or suppressing it, and the way I was taught. So I sat there and I'm like, why are you mad? And I thought about how everybody in the house, all of us, now I said before, we're a family of 8. I was counting the bird. Okay, the humans, there's 7 of us, but we have a bird too. So anyway, we were all home, and I was thinking about how I was in the kitchen making all this stuff, and I was by myself. And part of the issue is I feel most loved when a person spends time with me, as well as does things like for me. And for me, I would feel like blissed out with people having been in the kitchen with me, cooking with me. Like, you're helping me and we're spending time together, we're chatting it up, and I love that. And so I started to get angry though, and because I was like, I'm thinking to myself, like, no one really offered to help. Everybody is here, and and this is all for them anyway. A lot of times I'm cooking food that I don't even eat, because I don't eat meat. But then I was thinking to myself, well, actually, Treese, you're being ridiculous because, first of all, what do you need them to help you with? And I looked around at what I was doing. If somebody had come and said, hey, can I help you with something? I wouldn't have been able to give them anything to do. Because I literally had it all under control. I needed no help at all. I could have used a little help here and there with the baby when the baby was getting in the way. But really, like, I had it all together. And so I said, okay, well, is it really that you're angry, or are you sad? You know, because you want people around, because everybody's here, but nobody's here with you. Is that what it is? And I decided maybe that was what it was. And then I started to get upset with myself and got into the whole beat myself up mode because I was angry. And I felt like you owe everybody in this house an apology for even being angry at them. Now, mind you, I did not act on that anger. I said nothing to no one. And eventually I did call them downstairs, and I said, yeah, I'm like tripping. And I told them what I just told you. And they were like, well, do you need help? And I was like, no, I don't need help at all. Like, I don't know what, you know, but I was mad. I was really getting upset. And I thought about, it reminded me of my mother. It reminded me so much of her. There were times where my mother would, okay, so eventually my mom got guardianship over two of my cousins, but my cousin Tammy came first. But for me, I was raised so hyper vigilant that I could anticipate some of my mother's needs and meet them before she even uttered a word, right? Because I was accustomed to that environment. Tammy was not accustomed to that kind of thing. So there were times that my mother felt that Tammy should have read her mind and done something. And I would say to her, well, no, like, you know, she don't know what you want, because Tammy is a good girl. Like, if you ask her to do something, she gonna do it. No problem, no attitude, no nothing, you know? And so, but my mother would just get really upset, you know, sometimes because, like, for instance, with my two oldest girls, because I don't really like to tell other people's stories, but this is something Tammy probably not even aware of. This was some of my trying to run interference with my mother's rages and moods and trying to save Tammy like I could save anybody, you know. But anyway, with me being a child myself. So, but anyway, my oldest, this is the difference. My oldest is much like Tammy, where my next girl in line, my middle girl, is more like me. And that if I say, hey, can somebody bring me a broom? My oldest will bring me the broom. Well, this is years ago. Now she would probably be different, but years ago. My oldest would bring me the broom. My middle girl would bring the broom and the dustpan, because in her mind, if you need the broom, you're going to need the dustpan too, very likely. So I'm going to bring them both one time. I looked at that with my children, and it's like, oh, that's kind of neat to see. Like, I see Tammy so much in my oldest girl. But my mother would get pissed, because it's like, why you going to just bring me the broom? Don't you know I need the dustpan too? What am I going to sweep it up with? Like, how am I going to get it up? You know? And she would literally, like, get upset about something like that. And it's like, you didn't ask for that. Like, you know, or you should just know. You know, there were a lot of times where, like, she just felt like, you know, you should just know what I need and do it. I shouldn't have to ask. And that is those words exactly. I shouldn't have to ask. And it's like, no, yeah, you should, because nobody's a mind reader. And, you know, it didn't help that I was so hyper vigilant that I acted very much like a mind reader a lot of the time. And so that, you know, made it harder and worse, you know, with regards to Tammy not being hyper vigilant in that way. I don't know if she developed it. She may have, been in that environment. But so I was thinking about stuff like that, and how I see some of those fleas in myself where, like, again, I didn't act on it, but I was starting to feel like, wow, nobody even came to ask me if they could help me do this. And again, I ain't even need any help. It was just, what it boiled down to very likely was, I'm feeling a little bit lonely here in a house filled with people, and I would like somebody to be here to talk to me. Hello, just ask for that then. So so I'm learning. All that to say that I'm learning, and I'm really it's interesting, the things that I'm learning about myself, and the growth that I'm experiencing as a result of simply being aware. Because after I did realize what I was dealing with, and then I talked to a few of my daughters, they came downstairs, and then actually I started to get a headache, so they actually took over the rest of dinner, and there wasn't very much else to do, but they did it, no problem, no attitude, no nothing. And so that just reinforces what I used to tell my mother all along, and that I need to take that advice as well. Like, when you need something, state your needs and go on about your business, and stop, don't expect people to read your mind and then get mad when they don't. Like, it's just a ridiculous cycle of stupid, So I think I'll end it there. I just wanted to mention that, and that little tidbit of what I've experienced over the last it was a few days ago. So yeah. So if you want to continue on, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will be back in touch soon. Bye.